Hello, and welcome to Running Behind. I'm Joey Metzger, your host and leader of the pack. Back of the pack, that is. Today, my guest is Dr. Tonya Olson. She is one of the premier foot care experts in the world of endurance athletics. Not only does she run foot care for the Western States Endurance Run, she also co-authored the book, Fixing Your Feet. As you can imagine, we spend a large portion of this episode discussing horses and Bunker's Bar in Minneapolis and grandmas and, how to become a tour guide on your first day of moving to a new town. Well, okay, I guess we do talk a little bit of foot care, but really this episode is all about getting under the kinesiology tape and getting to know the real Dr. Tonya. So head out for your run, but before you do me a favor, think about your feet. At least acknowledge they exist. Okay, that's it. Lecture over. Let's get ready to hit the trail. Start running till after I turn 50, so I'm like taking my time, getting used to everything, going slow. I've got a busy job in the corporate world where I barely have time, but I love it. And I used to do a lot of acting. I moved to Minneapolis to be an actor, a professional actor, so I'm sure you've heard of me. You haven't.
What?
I moved
You're
here
in Minneapolis?
30. Yes. I know we're going to talk Minnesota. And by the way,
oh my God, we have so much to talk about.
I know. I'm already recording, so this is how my episodes start. We just start in the middle of conversations. You know, in theater, I was taught when you walk on stage, it shouldn't start. You should already be in the middle of something happening. So that's how I like to start my podcast, in the middle of our conversation. So yeah, I'm in Minneapolis. I moved here back in 91 to be a professional actor. And I did that for a few years before I found out actors, most of them don't get paid. So then I worked in a restaurant, and then I got into the corporate world. Eventually, I've been doing that for 25 years now. So I'm a trail runner, but I don't do a lot of running, but I like talking about it. The podcast is a way for me to exercise my creative demons. My sister Madonna in Manhattan is an avid listener. She is a horse person, so I am not kidding you. When we get to the thing about horses, we're going to chat because I have questions. I still don't understand.
I have answers.
Great. Awesome. Well, we're starting. My guest today, and do you want to go by Dr. Tonya K. Olson, or what's your preferred way of being greeted?
Yeah, we're just kind of going with Dr. Tonya.
Dr. Tonya, I like it.
So that's kind of where we're landing, because I've got 2 doctorates, and I should probably ought to give those credit, right?
Yes. What? Yeah. Now, I know you're a doctor of physical therapy. What's the other one?
So the doctor of physical therapy is a clinical doctorate, which is really just focuses on clinical training for, treating patients. But the second doctorate I finally finished in April. And so I have a doctorate in education. Oh. And that's like a full terminal doctorate, like commensurate with like a PhD. And it was a lot. And I think, I think it's okay to acknowledge that, right?
Congratulations. Yes, absolutely. So Dr. Tonya, and I love it's Dr. Tonya. I had on like my 3rd episode, my my chiropractor on, and she goes by Dr. Adrian. And in fact, the first part of that episode, we talk about why it's Dr. Adrian and not her actual last name. So love that.
Yeah.
Dr. Tonya.
And that's just...
Very nice.
Yeah.
I admire you getting 2 doctorates. I didn't even finish my college degree. I left to become a famous actor, which, and at the end of the day, it all worked out. I'm now a non-famous podcast host, so it's all good. It all works out in the end, right?
So how do you have skills working with like sound and all that kind of stuff?
So I've done a lot of movies over the years, small films and things like that. But I also did music. I recorded music, and so I have all this equipment back. It's been years. I was a guest on a podcast recently with Joe Harden on the Everyday Athlete Network. And he's got me inspired to take up music again. I'm like, I should pick up the guitar.
Oh, 100%.
You can see behind me all kinds of
100%.
musical stuff. It's very dusty. I haven't touched a lot of them for a couple of years.
Do the things.
But so that's how I got used to all the equipment and recording and editing and stuff like that through recording music over the years. So, yeah.
Interesting. Did you know that we lived in Minneapolis at the same time?
Here's where we're going to start. I gave you a little outline. I said, this is very casual. We're going to shoot the shit. We're going to get to all the foot care stuff. Of course we are. But I want to know more about you. My listeners want to know about you. Let's talk about you. First off, you grew up in frickin' Minnesota. I mean, can we
Duluth.
just do a list of the people who grew up here? Courtney DeWalter, Scott Jurek, Tim Tollefson, who I interviewed. My God, the list goes on and on. You grew up, tell me about growing up. When did you live in Minneapolis?
Well, okay, so I have to back up because, we're Minnesota, we're storytellers.
Oh God, yeah.
Don't you know? So I was born in Portland, Oregon, and we lived there until my parents are from Duluth, but we lived in Portland until after first grade. And I mention that because I imprinted on it. Like we were in Wildwood Park and outdoors like all the time in Portland, and then we moved. We moved back to Minnesota, and so in order to get me to get in the car to leave Portland, my dad had to promise to give me a horse when we got to Minnesota. I was 100% staying. I had a whole plan. I was sitting there on the stoop, and I'm like, the milkman comes. The milkman used to come and deliver milk. Okay. The milkman comes every week. I can walk to school. I'm good. Go on without me. And Dad was like, what if I buy you a horse? And he says I beat him to the car.
Wow. How old are you? How old are you at this point?
Right after first grade. So what, 7?
Okay.
Yeah. And so, swear to God, nothing against my dad, but that is the only promise he ever kept in my entire life.
But look what it did for you. Mattered. Look, it changed your life. It changed your life.
It's the only,
Okay, so you're 6 or 7. You move to Duluth, and you get the horse. Tell the story.
Well, sadly I have to tell the true story because it's just more entertaining. I don't really gloss over things very well. I should, or I should have pride when I tell a story. Anyhow, so Dad had this amazing ability to kind of interact with people who are just kind of below the middle, kind of not sketchy, but sort of borderline sketchy.
Okay, all right.
He hung out at the Cozy Bar, anyhow. Okay. But he had his own, it's a whole thing. So he bought this really amazing POA, which is a Pony of America, which is essentially a smaller Appaloosa. Okay. The horse's name was Maverick. He was incredible, and he was the absolute perfect pony for me, a 7-year-old. Okay. And I remember having this amazing connection with this pony. My dad is 6'4", 200-some pounds, and he would try to ride Maverick. And now your sister will be able to explain this to you, but ponies are notorious for being scoundrels. They are crafty. Some of them can be a little devilish, but they definitely are very self-possessed, and they have absolutely no problem communicating their displeasure at any point in time. So Maverick wouldn't let Dad ride him. My dad would try to get on him, and Maverick would just lay down. And be like, no.
Oh, God.
If my dad could catch him. Maverick was waiting at the gate when I would roll in. And so Dad actually, he said he sold Maverick. Okay. And even as a young child, I knew Dad sent Maverick to kill. He sent him to the auction.
No.
And I was like, Dad, I know you sent him to kill. Why did you? And so now for anyone who's listening, don't be traumatized. Back then, if a sound, sane horse like Maverick went to the auction, it was getting bought to be used, not to be sent to slaughter. So I always knew that. But yeah, Dad tried to pull the wool over my eyes. So then he bought a retired polo pony named Cecil, who was probably 937 years old. The exact opposite of Maverick. The horse had half a tongue because polo players are notorious for being really rough on their horses. But
What?
Maverick his soul had been crushed for so long as a polo pony that he would just let anyone ride him, and he was safe. And yeah, so Maverick. And then we moved, and we moved to Cloquet, a smaller town. And he bought me a young quarter horse named Chick's Tippy Bar. She went by Tippy. Now, a 4-year-old unbroke horse is not generally the best choice to give to your 8-year-old daughter.
You were 8? Oh my God.
By then I was 8. And so Tippy ended up to be the perfect horse. And so we kept it at, I'm not kidding, lazy lying Larry Larson's barn. That is how he was. That was his name.
Lazy lying Larry Larson. Is this
Larson?
One of your dad's.
One of my dad's high class friends.
High class.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful.
And so what was really great about that was there's a reason I'm telling this. That across the street, across like the dirt road, was state forest land.
Oh.
So, and because I grew up with zero parental supervision, I would get my dad to wake up in the morning, Saturday morning, at some godly, Dad, get me to the barn, Dad, drive me to the barn, Dad. And he'd drive me to the barn at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he would drop me off, and he would not pick me up until 10 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock. He would be at the tavern. He'd forget. So finally, anyhow, so I was just loose in the woods with my horse, completely unattended. This is where the trail running, like I've spent my entire life on trails, singing, you gotta know when to hold 'em, like singing all the songs, like know when to fold 'em, like, oh my God. Yeah. So it's a miracle I survived. But yeah, that's like where the affinity for trails and being outside and being ungoverned, really, that's kind of what it is, because that's trail running. You're out there figuring shit out by yourself. So yeah, from a very young age, I've been loose in the woods.
Continue to ride horses for a long time? I know you said at some point, I listened to a few of your podcasts. You said at some point you sold your horse. And you were like, and I want to ask about, you said you were doing horsing professionally. And my sister Madonna in Manhattan is going, duh, Judy. Everybody knows what that is. I don't know what that is. What do you guys mean you were doing horsing professionally? What were you doing?
So I moved back to Duluth. I got a quarter horse. That was really, really nice. And so junior high and high school, I rode quarter horses, which are like the horses that the cowboys ride. Yep. They're kind of like the golden retriever. They're just they're a solid horse. They're safe. You can do a lot of different things with them. So I was doing rodeo type stuff, riding barrel racing with my horse. And then sadly, that horse's name was TR, like JR, only TR, Triple Raider. He died my senior year in high school. Oh, no. Yeah, my life is just tragic sometimes. So TR died, and it was kind of awful. And, a girl and her horse, like your sister can understand, like at that age, it just takes your soul.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then I tried to go to college at the normal age, but I couldn't figure out how to pay for it. And the universe just connected me, this broke, like heart on her sleeve horse girl, connected me with this really amazingly well-bred and talented 3-year-old horse. The owner had raised him from a foal, and the first person who rode on his back was her 9-year-old son. The horse had just an exquisite disposition. He was a warm blood, he was a Trakehner, which is a warm blood, which is it's a equestrian horse, kind of bred in Europe. So it's a cold blood, which is a draft horse, like the big boned, super docile, like Clydesdales or Belgians, crossed with a hot bred, which is usually thoroughbred, but Trakehners have some Arabian in them, and so it lightens them up. And those are the horses that the cavalry would ride.
Oh, wow.
So it goes back to, because it was a cross between the carriage horses that were the hot bloods and then the draft horses, because in the cavalry, or in the earlier days, when you would wear they would wear armor, the horses had to be bigger and stronger. Yeah. But then when they stopped wearing armor, they needed a horse that had the saneness and the soundness of a big, strong horse, but they needed to be more light and agile. And so that's where the warm blood came from. So I lucked into this and it's a whole set of circumstances of why this horse, I was able to, the price was like 10 times, it was 10 times less than it should have been. Wow. So I got this amazing horse, and I'm like, screw college. Like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to just be completely, utterly, and totally dedicated to the thing that lights my soul on fire. Because I would see in the barn, these women are like their wives and mothers, and they've got their career, and they're torn in all different directions. And I'm like, I'm 20. I can do just this. And so that's what I did. And so my 20s, I rode horses. I ended up in, the barn I ended up in Minneapolis it was in Bloomington. Okay. Pas de Deux was the name of the stable. And I was a working student there. So I wasn't like high profile or anything. So working student means like you're working off the board and you're taking care of, for your horse. And then you're also taking, you just have a bunch of stuff to do. And so my specialty, which kind of ties into becoming a physical therapist, my specialty was always the broken horses, because like that had been traumatized, or they were young and they needed time and patience. Because in America, which is what my dad does, there's a lot of people, they're trying to save money. So they buy a cheap, young, untrained horse, and then they pair it with a person who has no training. Right. And that's generally asking for disaster. Yeah. And horses, once they get scared, they have a really long memory. And so I did a lot. That's what I did. I taught lessons. I was teaching lessons in junior high as well. But I did that until the horse was about 10. And I trained him up to a pretty good, pretty high level for, somebody like myself. And then I was like, all right, time to go to college. I need to. So that's the story.
That is awesome.
So there's so much about,
I'm going to connect you with my sister Madonna in Manhattan. And normally when I do these shows, she doesn't know a lot about trail running. So it's always like on Smart List, they have, Sean's sister in Tracy, Wisconsin. I've got Madonna in Manhattan. For this one, she's going to have to explain stuff to me. I'm going to have to connect you guys, because that's what she does. She lives out in Manhattan, but she has her horse, and she trains and works with people, and same kind of thing.
What discipline? Does she jump, or does she do like
not jumping?
Ballet stuff?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
So it's probably more dressage.
I told you. Yeah. I know.
That's so cool. That's so awesome. So random fact, I actually started an equestrian brand 4 years ago. It's called Move Like a Rider. It's a whole thing. It's right now it's percolating. Okay. All right. I'll return to it. So yeah, Madonna and I have tons of things we can talk about.
You have lots to talk about. This is good. Okay, so you do the horse thing. I know this is, like I said, we're just going to chat. So we're off track. We haven't talked about foot at all. You do the horse thing, and then you're like, okay, going to college. Is that back in Duluth?
No, so I was in Minneapolis. Yep. I worked at Grandma's restaurant in Bloomington.
Which Grandma's?
I opened
in
the
Duluth?
Bloomington one.
The Bloomington one. Okay.
I worked at Grandma's in Duluth.
Okay.
And then I helped open several of the newer stores, like the Bloomington, the one in North Dakota. Okay. There was one in Asheville for a little bit, for like a half an hour. And so Bloomington. Okay. But I know Did
you ever work at the one next to Theater in the Round in downtown Minneapolis by the university?
I never worked there, but a lot of my coworkers were there, and I would hang out there.
I was there all the time because I was doing shows at Theater in the Round, and so we would go over to Grandma's.
100%.
Fun.
We may have crossed paths.
Probably
it's highly possible.
Probably have. So you worked at Grandma's in Duluth, so that's probably where you started hearing about marathons and running, maybe.
And so I never considered myself an athlete because I was riding the horses, and my younger brother was a really talented athlete. And the one good thing about our family, like each one of us had our thing that we did. And so I was a horse person, but every year I would work Grandma's marathon weekend, and I was just in awe of these people. Like, how do you do that? Like, and I'll never forget, like, watching these two grown men. They're doing like the marathon shuffle, and they had to step up on the curb, and they just kind of stood there. And they look at each other, and they look back down. I'm like, they're contemplating this curb like it's like Mount Everest. And one of them he kind of brightens up, and he looks at his buddy. And they did a couple tests, like trying to lift their foot up, and they're like, oh, no. And then one guy was like, hang on. And he turns around backwards. And he holds out his hand, and his friend kind of balances him, and he backs up. He goes up backwards. And I'm like, who would do that to themselves?
Right.
Like, what is this craziness?
Right.
But as long as I worked at Grandma's, you can't, there's no running it. Like, we did have a manager who would run the race, and then we locked her in her office. We would just have all these we had all these VHS tapes. I'm dating myself, but VHS tapes and food and a mattress and blanket and a little TV and a VCR. And we were like, do not come out of here. You stay in there. Stay unless the building's on fire. We do not need you. Just recover. Yeah. But I didn't consider running until I sold my horse, and I had this ginormous hole in my life. I'd never not had somewhere that I always wanted to be. Okay. And so I was like, well, now what do I do? And so Grandma's marathon was always such a big deal. It's going home for the holidays is a waste of time because everyone's so busy and you don't ever get to see them. So I signed up to run Grandma's.
So this is when you sell the horse, go back to college, that's when you start running too.
I started college. I actually moved to Indianapolis.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And so, I started the first Grandma's. Actually, I think I ran it before I moved, when I was still living in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Here's your typical training. I cannot judge people because I've done all the stupid things. So I signed up for Grandma's, right?
Yeah.
And I hadn't really been running all that much. I was working as a professional groom and a waitress at the time. So I was on my feet all the time. Yeah. So I kind of didn't start training until like January, and the race is in June. And I thought, well, and so of course I increased my long run from 0 to 17 miles in the month of January. Because you got to cram it all in, right?
Yeah,
so
might
then,
as well.
Shockingly, I got a stress fracture in my foot.
Oh, God.
And of course I had to keep working, so I quit. I didn't run. Yeah. So then I didn't run until the night before the race, because I'm still going to go into town because there's a big party at the Grandma's, and there's a tent and beer, and it's like old home week. Back then it was like everyone knows I'm going to be in, everyone knows everyone's going to be in town. You go down to the beer tent and it's unrestricted, just fun. Yep. Because it's not like the holidays where everyone's busy. So it's just super fun. Everyone's in town for the race. So I'm at the beer tent, drinking beer, of course. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to run. I run into a gal, and an acquaintance, kind of friendish, somebody. Yeah. She's like, I'm not trained either, and I'm going to run. And my knee's kind of bothering me. So let's just meet at the buses in the morning, and we'll just stick together. If we have to walk the whole thing, that's great. And I'm like, okay, cool. Trusting Tonya rolls up to the buses at 5:30 in the morning, and this son of a gun, she's nowhere to be seen. And I'm like, well, now what do I do? Like, I guess I'll get on the bus, and I'm terrified because I've never done this before.
Right.
Terrified. Get on the bus, and I see a gal that I'd gone to high school with that I didn't really talk to very much, but she was in medical school, and she was like, I've run this before, let's just do it together. Like, I can get you through. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so that was my first marathon.
And you finished it.
A long time ago. I did.
Tell me, I always like to know, when you finish your first marathon, what was your thought? Was it, that was great, or I'm not doing this bleeping crap ever again? What was your first thought?
Well, there were several pivotal moments. Like Grandma's Marathon is a point to point. You start 26.2 out in the middle and, like out up the highway.
Two harbors, right?
And then you, kind of, well, not that far, but you run, 26.2 miles from basically down Canal Park, which is, we'll just call it downtown St. Duluth. So you're running from, and so the lake is to your, Gitche Gumee, the lake. I grew up you have an emotional connection to the lake if you grow up in a town like that. So Gitche Gumee or Lake Superior is on the left, and it's just a comforting force, and it's just a grounding and comforting force. And I'll never forget the first thing that really blew my mind was at one point it's the old 2-lane highway, like right along the water.
Highway 62.
And then the
Highway 62.
Yeah.
Or 62.
Or
61?
62.
62, yeah.
It's the old highway. And then you cross to the new highway. I think it's 62.
Yeah.
But you cross and it's 2 lanes, the median, and then 2 more lanes. So it's a big 4-lane kind of thing. And we come and there's a guy, he must have been like a football coach or something, and he's standing in the road and he's just hollering, "You can do this! You're beautiful, you're strong, and you're amazing!" And he was there, like, and I'm like, oh! You immediately feel 10 feet tall because this man is just, and I'm like, a total stranger just like lit like just my soul on fire. I'm like, oh yeah. And then just the adrenaline and the amazingness of it. And I'm like, yeah, I am strong. And I can do this. And then I'm on this cloud of like adrenaline. And then I'm running along and I've got along London Road. And there's like these unofficial aid stations that families have passed down for generations. And I saw somebody I knew and I used their restroom. And then we go up, it's called Lemon Drop Hill. It's not really a hill anymore, but, and then we get into town and I'm starting to not feel all that great. It's probably mile 20 or so. And there's the Reef Bar is there. And as we kind of, it was probably a slow jog at this point. I'm going past, and all these total strangers are like, "You got this, blah, blah, blah." And I go, "Anybody got some whiskey?" And I had like 4 hands reached out.
Some Fireball. I need some Fireball.
It was long before Fireball. So I downed a shot of Jack Daniels, and everyone's just like, "Whoa!" All these drunk people, they just stand there and they cheer people, total strangers all day long. Completely something I'd never experienced before. And then another mile or so, and then it's Fraternity Row, where the fraternities are manning London Road, and so they've got kegs of beer, and of course, I got to drink a beer because why not? Because we're trying to, because people think it's just a crowd experience. Yeah. Now I'm like, it's just a part of it. I'm like, what is this? Like, who are these total strangers are just standing out on the street, like cheering on other total strangers. And then when I got in towards Fitger's, in front of Fitger's Brewery on Superior Street, my quad cramped up and I didn't know what to do because I'd never had that kind of pain before, like never in my life. And I thought, well, maybe I'll stretch my quad. And so I reached down to grab my ankle, and halfway up I was like, oh, well now I can't, I'm stuck. Like I can't put it down. I can't lift it up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what do I do? Yeah. And I look up and I see like 4 people deep. And these total strangers again are just looking at me and they're like holding their breath. And I was in this little just microcosm, this little world of my own pain, and I didn't hear anything. And I look up and I lock eyes with this guy, and he's just like, I felt like if I didn't keep running, they were going to just absolutely just be destroyed as a human being. They would just be beyond devastated. And I'm like, I owe it to these people to at least limp out of their view. And they just buoyed me to and then I'm ending the story quickly. Well, as quickly. Anyhow, long story medium. So my entire life, you go down Superior Street, and then you turn left on Canal Park Drive, and that's how you get to the finish.
Yep.
Well, I hadn't been aware that they had changed the finish so that you had to run through downtown Duluth because they were hoping to increase the business or like the traffic through the downtown area, downtown proper. And so we had to run through downtown, turn left, go over the overpass, over the highway, around behind the aquarium. So it's another like half mile. I stood at that intersection of Canal Park Drive and Superior Street, and I had a full-on adult tantrum. Just meltdown. You have got to be, who in the fucking Scott Keenan? He's a race director. He would, I worked at Grandma, so of course I know. I'm like, fucking Keenan, what the hell? Sorry about this spicy language.
Is great. This is the best. I love it.
Fucking Keenan, I'm gonna spit his beer next time. And I'm like, well, pretty sure this madness, this adrenaline is going to carry me to the finish. I'm like, okay, so let's do this. And come around, and just then it was just like, finally I made it around the aquarium, and then when I could tell that this was actually really going to happen, I was going to finish, the tears just started, like, and like, I don't know, for like non-athletic people and women in particular, I think like, we live like something big, like an endurance event, like a marathon or or ultra marathons. It cracks your soul open and changes your whole understanding of who you are as a human being. It wasn't just running 26.2 miles. It was like, I have a completely and totally and utterly shattered view of who I am. So like the shackles have been shattered. My understanding of who I am and what I can handle and what I can do was completely just, and then it was my hometown, and it was just incredible. So that was the long story of my first marathon, and
first marathon was all right. It was all right.
And it went all right.
How many times have you done Grandma's marathon?
So I ran Grandma's 10 years.
10 years. In a row?
10 years in a row.
Oh, my God.
10 years in a row. And I brought other people in to run for their first race. A friend of mine, Todd, Todd went to vet school, and he lived somewhere else, and we met, at the beer tent Friday night, and I meet him at the bus, and he's kind of white and pale and looks terrified. And I'm like, Todd, hi, how you doing there, buddy? And he's like, I haven't run. I don't know if I can do this. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I really haven't run at all. I'm like, okay. Well, let's just kind of break this down a little bit. Like what is your training? Well, January 1st, I ran like a mile and a half, and then my pager went off, and so I had to go on a barn call, something with a cow. And then he's like, well, and then I think like a week later, I ran home from the bar. That was about 2 miles. And then, so this was the story. And I was like, God. And he kept talking, and he kept getting more pale and more terrified as he's telling the story. He's doing the math. I'm like, hang on. So, since January 1st and now, have you run a total of 26 miles, you think? And he's like, yeah, I think so. I'm like, oh, you'll be good. You're totally fine. Yeah, you'll be fine. And he had that same freaking place back around. I knew what to expect. Back around, I'll never forget the back around that freaking the aquarium and behind the bridge and all that. Like he had a moment back there, and I watched his soul crack open and completely just have this life-changing experience. And it was so cool to be there with him for that. And that was, once you're an endurance runner, you're just, it's kind of emotional. That's why you do it, right?
I mean, even my first, I haven't done a lot, but my first half marathon, even completing that, and I was very slow. I did the run, walk, run, Jeff Galloway kind of method, and I still kind of do that at times. And I got done and my wife was there and I was like, I was crying and I was like,
Yeah.
it was just a half marathon. And then when I did my first
No, there's no
50K,
just.
I
It was
was
the
I was totally losing it. And my mom and dad had both passed away. My mom had just passed away. And I made
Oh,
a
I'm
film about
sorry.
it, and I can see on the film like I'm choking up as I'm talking at the end of the race because you just
Yeah.
like you just feel like look what the hell I could do, holy fuck,
Yeah.
you know?
And then it's an experience.
Yeah,
There's always like for me, there's something that
yeah,
especially ultras like
yeah,
you spend time with total strangers. You're
yeah,
the life raft somebody needed, like it's such a the community is amazing,
yeah,
but especially for you like cuz you were not 22 when you started your running.
yeah.
Right?
No,
Think about like your paradigm and your understanding of who you were as a person. The athlete was nowhere in that
no,
identity
no, not at
for
all.
a lot longer than
Right.
for somebody like myself. I
Yeah,
was like, somewhere late 20s when I started
yeah,
running. But yeah, it just, yeah,
yeah. Crazy.
congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to you. So we're way off track here, but we're not. This is what my
Of course we are.
podcasts are. They're just stories. I just loved
Random.
it. I just love to get to know people. I love stories like this. No story is too long in my book.
Yeah.
So you do your first marathon. What do you and you're at that point you're going to school for physical therapy, or is it for something else, or
Yeah, so in Indiana, I went to the Indiana University, Purdue University
okay.
combined campus in Indianapolis, and I ended up getting the plan my whole life at that point had been to be a veterinarian.
Oh, sure.
And I was working. I'd already always worked as a vet tech, and and all that. And somewhere along the line, I realized like it just wasn't going to be the fit that I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because like just really from a practical perspective, taking out the student loans, and
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I probably ought to do something different. And so, but I got a biology degree.
Okay.
And a lot of folks that I was students with were going to pharmacy school, and pharmacy, you start off with a pretty decent salary, and I was just thinking, well, I could do pharmacy.
Yeah.
And so then that became kind of the new goal.
Okay.
And I applied to 3 pharmacy schools my last year of undergrad, and I didn't. And I remember when I got the 3rd denial letter, I was going out to meet some friends, and I'm standing in there on the porch, and I read the letter, and like, we regret to inform you. I'm like, I guess I'm supposed to do something else. I
Something
just
else.
pulled it up, put it in my back pocket, and I'm like, wonder what that's going to be.
Oh my God.
And kind of backtracking, when I was trying to go to college for at the normal age, like 19 or so, I actually got a degree as a PT assistant, which is like a 2-year degree.
Okay.
So I had been exposed to, because I thought I could have a job that's more of a career while I worked my way through school instead of
Okay.
working as a waitress.
Yep.
But I ended up working as a waitress because waitressing you can do at night, and school back then was like
Yeah.
during the day. So anyhow, but I remember I shortly thereafter I realized I'm like, I liked everything I learned about in PT assistant school. I should probably be a PT. And I wanted to live somewhere new
Yeah.
and different. I wanted to live in the South. I'd never lived in the South before. I was
Okay.
just really intrigued, and I wanted to live by the ocean because I'm growing up in Duluth and having that affinity for Lake Superior.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to live by big water again. It completes me, feeds my soul. And so I looked on the map, and I'm like, oh, look, Charleston, South Carolina. It ticks all the boxes. Oh, they have a PT school. So I just packed the car and moved to Charleston, sight unseen.
Wow.
And guess what happened?
What?
This is the most amazing part. I'm walking along. My friend Tracy drove with me,
Yeah.
and she stayed a couple days. So we're walking around in Charleston, South Carolina, and there's like a market area. It's not where the slaves are sold; it's where the slaves sold goods.
Yeah.
That's a tell about what I'm gonna what eventually happened to me. And I saw this really good looking horse on a single carriage. It was a beautiful black Percheron horse that was very clearly purchased by somebody who knew horses.
Okay.
And I was just kind of jonesing to talk to a horse person. And so I followed the horse to the barn, and I just wanted to talk to the owner. I'm like, compliment him on his horse choice, because it was not a kind of horse that fits into the city. It was not the kind that would be easy for work using in a city setting, because they're a little more, they take a little more finesse to handle. And so sure enough, there was a Carolina Polo and Carriage Company, the only carriage company owned by native Charlestonians, and they were all polo players.
Oh God.
The sons had been on the U.S. polo team, and then the dad, like, I get to talking to the owner and Mr. K, and he's like, blah blah blah, and he offered me a job.
What?
Right there on the spot. I lived in Charleston for a day, and he's like, do you have a job, lined up here? And I was like, no, I was just gonna figure it out. And he's like, I tell you one thing, girl, I hire you. Just say you got a job with me, and I'm like, I know nothing. Like, I'm like, Mr. K, do you remember when I told you that I'd lived here for one day? He's like, I can teach you. And he had that Charleston accent that I wish I could use, but he'd be like, he's like, Ms. Olson, I can teach you about history. I can't teach who you are. You're pretty, you're funny, you're entertaining, and you're going to take care of my horses and my tourists. That I can't teach. And I'm like, okay, when do you want me here? And it was the best job ever.
Wow.
So because I had to wait a year.
Yeah.
So I drove horse-drawn carriages in Charleston for a year, and I learned all the things. Awesome. It was everything I could have wanted. It's traditional, old school Southern. I learned tons of history. Mr. K did not allow us to tell hooey or stories. Everything had to be fact checked. Nice. He would follow us, and if you told a story that wasn't completely true, you would get in trouble. I worked with a horse. It was amazing.
I appreciate good tour guides. We like to travel when we have the opportunity. We had a wonderful tour guide. We were in Nashville last year. That was amazing. Took a wonderful tour. We're in D.C. a few years ago. Had a great tour guide. I really appreciate people like that know their stuff, and I really appreciate it. That's awesome.
And it makes such so many stories. And of course, because here's the thing that terrified me. You need to know nothing about horses to drive a 16-person carriage in downtown Charleston or anywhere. You need to know absolutely nothing about horses. Because these horses are they're bomb-proof. Like, they're just like, they're draft horses. They're just they're wired completely different than riding horses, or especially the ones that I was used to, because the ones I'm used to are a little, but I was terrified. Like, all I could think of is, like, there's going to be a wreck on a daily basis. But somehow everyone stayed alive and safe. But because I was a horse person, I would tell stories about the horse.
Yeah.
And I could turn around backwards, and I would tell about the personality of the horse and the background and their little quirks. Yeah. And the tourists it was just extra for them, because I had my boy Legree. He was street smart. And he was the only carriage horse, because they've got their blinders on. He was the only horse that knew to stay away the certain distance from the cars.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, if anything goes south, I want Legree to be in front of this kid, because he's street smart. He will get us out of trouble. And then Big Dumb Danny was a Belgian, and he had these big floppy ears, and he would pretend to run away when the garbage truck would come by, and it was so much fun, because he would be like, in the cartoons where they run in place?
In place, yeah.
Yes, he would do that. But most people thought he was running. No, he's just running in place. And so I would, I would be like, and then you could see the tourists sitting there and they're seeing their life flash before their eyes because this horse is acting all crazy. And I'd be like, hey guys, watch this. And I would drop the reins. I would lower the lines and they'd be flapping loose and he'd be staying in one I'm like, he's just full.
He's moonwalking.
Guys, he's just fooling us. He's just being Big Dumb Danny.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my God. It was such a fun job. But told a friend of mine that one time and I'm like, yeah, I'm driving carriages. And he's like, and I'm like, I love it. He goes, of course you do. You're outside. You're working with horses. You're telling stories. Yeah. Of course it's a perfect job for you.
Love it.
Oh, Charleston. You have to go to Charleston.
I do.
Oh, have you been?
I've not. We went to the Outer Banks. So that's North Carolina.
North Carolina. Yeah.
We like that, but it's like, hello, that is sinking into the ocean. And we got stuck there because the bridge had washed out for several days. You know how that area is. Like you get a storm or high tide and the bridge is, so you're locked and you can't get off the island. Yeah. So we were like, I don't think I'd do that again. But we do need to get to Charleston for sure. Okay, I'm going to get us back on track a little bit. So you're in Charleston.
Yes, very good.
No, this is all good. This is Joey's storytelling hour. I love it. You probably haven't talked this much about these topics on your other pods, so this is good. So you're in Charleston. You go to PT school. Is that when you do your first? Because you're a runner. Is that when you do your first ultra marathon?
So I was still running grandma's.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I was still running. I think that was still my grandma's day. And
I'm having a shot of whiskey for you. I'm saluting you.
Oh, you're not. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I want to join you. Yep. I have whiskey. I don't want to leave you hanging. No, that's just rude.
That's fine.
That's just rude.
It's rude.
Let me see what do I have here. I've got Florida rum.
Oh, that'll work.
Let's go with that. Yeah, we'll do that.
That's fine.
Because it's local. It's local.
Fine.
So I'm in Charleston during one of the breaks.
Yep.
I ended up going to my first ultra. And so at this time I was wanting to move to Oregon because I'd had such a positive experience when I was younger. So I went to Bend, Oregon during one of the spring break. Anyhow, Bend, Oregon. I was sleeping in a tent, riding a borrowed bike. And the McDonald Forest 50K, I ended up there because I knew some people who were running. And I remember standing around at the start and I'm like, and that is an absolute old school ultra.
Okay.
Because one of the first ultra marathons in Oregon, it was back when there was Clem LaCava was the race director. He was like, I was doing this race when there was only 30 runners in Oregon, total ultra runners.
Total in Oregon.
It was so it's an old school 50K. It's fantastic. So that's Corvallis-ish. Okay. So I'm standing around and all these people are kind of milling around and then they kind of just meander. There's somebody playing a banjo and then people kind of meander over to something that is kind of sort of like somebody dragged their foot across the road, the dirt driveway. And that was the start line. Okay. And then somebody, I can't remember if they shot off can't remember if it was a trumpet and then they just kind of ambled off into the woods. And I was like, who are these people? What is this? Oh my God. I'm like, what is this? Yeah. And so there's a cabin there and now I'm kind of waiting around. And so there's a cabin there and they've got they've got homemade bread and this big cauldron of this amazing soupish kind of something. And people are wandering around and they're talking to me and they're like, oh, hey, who are you? And what are you doing here? And I'm feeling a little weird. But they're just took me under their wing. And I was just like, I need to be a part of this world. These these are my people.
Yep.
And so I get back home to Charleston, like after having Charleston. And I was like, I need to run an ultra.
Yeah.
And so this is May,
Okay.
and I ran Grandma's goes June, and I'm like, I need to run an ultra. And then I asked around, and like a friend of mine was like, I'm like, what ultra should I run in the fall? It's on the East Coast. And my friend was like, you should run David Horton's races. David Horton, he's got a series up in Virginia. And so I signed up for the Mountain Masochist 50 miler in Virginia.
I just pulled up your ultra sign up. Yes, you did. I see it right there.
I did. That was my first one. And this is how naive I was. I thought that because Charleston is flat, it's called the Low Country for a reason. So I was running once a week up and down the 6th floor parking ramp for like 45 minutes. And that was my hill training.
Okay.
Now there's 9,000 feet of climb. And again, I was so freaked out about the 50 miler and so I reached out. I was emailing Horton. I would call him Horty. I was emailing Horty, and then I ended up like a friendship with this Rebecca Tritipo. She is an experienced ultra runner in the Blacksburg, Virginia area, and so she took me under her wing, and she's like, "Why don't you just come? I'm asking all the questions. What do I wear? How do you eat food? Like what's happening?" And so she's just, come and stay. We'll run it together, or I got you. And so that absolutely blew my mind.
Wow.
I mean, it was like in keeping with, and I had such an incredible experience running the 50. As I just had and the Virginia Happy Trails Running Club, they took me in under their wing and kind of included me in their, like, they were super encouraging, and they're like, "Hey, you want to, you're gonna, this was amazing. You want to run Hellgate?" And I'm like, "Hell who?" Hellgate 100K was 5 weeks later.
100K.
And of course I said
62 miles.
Yeah. Now, I just ran my first 50 miler ever, and they were like, "Yeah, you should run Hellgate with us." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, God. How is it on the East Coast, the names of the races are just these nasty names? Hellgate, Masochist, Devils something. They're all like these evil names.
I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
terrain. I think like people it's people have been there for longer, and so when they found land, they were kind of beaten up a little bit. Like gold miners were, in California, they were a little more hopeful. I don't know, but so Hellgate is absolutely an amazing race. Really? And so it's based at a 4-H camp. So you've got you have the building that has like the cafeteria, the fireplace, couches and big chairs. And then it has the dorm style bunk rooms. And so there's a bunch of bunk beds, and then the big showers for like bunches of people and stuff like that. And so you roll in Friday afternoon, like everyone comes in Friday afternoon. Early afternoon, because the race starts at midnight. And this is in December. So it was just last weekend.
Okay.
My birthday is December 14th. Okay. And so it was like my birthday adjacent. And it was kind of my birthday weekend. And so Horty is like, he had two thoughts. He explained to me, he was like, for one, the fast runners need to run it in the dark sometimes. They're spoiled, because most of the time in a lot of the ultras, depending on the distance, the fast runners don't even need to wear a headlamp because they're done before sunset, right? Yep. And so, but also from a safety perspective. So you're running in the winter in the woods, and when you start at midnight, everyone's fresh through the more dangerous portions, right? It's dark and all that, and the snow and everything. And then everyone finishes before it turns dark. And so it's safer, but it's always kind of a hoardy thing. Like he's always, he that's kind of his personality. But then then you stay Saturday night. So it's this whole weekend.
Okay.
And it was, so that was if you find my race reports, I don't even know where they are, but that was my race report that year was called Ice Follies. Because what had happened was that it had snowed earlier in the week, and then it rained, and then it froze.
Oh, gosh. That's
so everything was just glazed. The roads, like when there was like a forest road you had to run on, it was just glazed ice from stem to stern, like from ditch to ditch. And so we're like, and nobody had spikes because nobody planned on it being like that. And so we, at about mile 20, so Rebecca was running with me because she was, kind-hearted ultra runner, experienced ultra runner, keeping the newbie safe. Yeah. And I've got soup, and I'm leaving the aid station, and I heard somebody go, ugh. And of course, I went to turn to check on them, but we had already established, don't turn to check on anyone, because the people kept falling. Well, I think I turned, and I fell and landed on my elbow, because I was saving the soup. And I immediately felt, like, pain in my elbow, and I was like, I'm laying there on the ground, and I'm thinking, oh no. Of course, I'm at PT school, and Rebecca's standing there, and she kind of looks at me because I'm staying down. She goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I think I broke my radial head.
Oh God.
Nerdy PT.
Yeah.
And so she just kind of was like, she kind of looks at me for a second, and she was like, well, you don't run on your elbow, so you might as well get up. I'm like, good point. You want some soup?
How far into the race did you say this was?
20 miles.
Oh, God.
20 miles. So the radius is the one that's on your thumb side. And so the radius, actually, there's a little head here, and it kind of spins. It spins like this when you move your palm up and down. Yeah. The big bone is on the other side, like this one. Yeah. That's your ulna. But anyhow, so I had fractured the radial head. And so anyhow, I mean, I'm thinking, I'm running, and you're like, yep, it's broke. Huh. Well, anywho, at least it'll take... I'm like, well, this will take my mind off my legs later.
Oh, my God.
And, it was such a fun. It was just... And running with the lights in the dark, and you can see everyone's kind of snaking ahead of you, and then you realize, oh, shit, I got to run over that. I need to run that part. And at dawn, the aid station that we reached at dawn was one where they could drive in, so they had all these big cook stations, like the grills. They had hamburgers and waffles and pancakes, and it was amazing. And the sun is coming up, and it's like a whole new day and a completely different race. And your mind just resets, and it forgets that you just ran 50 miles
with a broken elbow or whatever.
And Horty, and I'll never forget. So Horty's like his big advice for me. I'll never forget it. For one, it was like, you need to get up 2 hours before the race in the morning to make sure you move your bowels before you get to the start line. Solid advice.
Solid.
Yeah, so I'm like, just absolutely religious. And he's like, if you're running more than 4 miles, you need butt paste. So I got a little, get your little tin of Desitin. And then as I got older and more experienced, I realized like your butt, it's maceration is happening. That's why your butt cheeks get sensitive. Yeah. So he's like, move your bowels, butt paste, and he was, anytime I get to an aid station, he'd hand me a baked boiled potato dipped in salt. Oh. So I always had a boiled potato with dipped in salt kind of clutched in my hand as I leave every aid station. So I had people like that advising me. My first ultras. And the Virginia Happy Trails running, they put my name on their cake because they had some other members whose birthdays were that weekend. Yeah. And it was just like, it was like the ultra running community is
It's a community.
it's so, it's
Yeah.
you cannot find better people.
Nope. You sure
And
can't.
I'm like, and I'm sold.
Yep. Sold.
Like in
Sold.
forever. Yeah.
So that starts your ultra running, trail running community. You're going to PT school. Do you know at that point you're going to specialize in foot care? Does that happen right away, or is that a little bit later where
Well, I
you
have,
decide this is my specific jam with physical therapy? When does that happen?
well, with horses, your sister will tell you no hoof, no horse, and so you really, as a horse person, you're just wired to pay really good attention to the hooves and the lower legs, especially of horses. And the human foot ankle complex is amazing and complicated and fascinating. So even since PT assistant school, I'd always been fascinated with the foot ankle complex, and then that understanding of you need to take care of the foot ankle complex, like with horses. And so when I was in PT school, I was definitely, I had more knowledge because I'd learned on my own about the foot ankle complex itself. And so I had already been sort of primed for, I had already was really interested in foot ankle. And my last clinical that I did as a PT student, I actually did in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, Intermountain Healthcare. You had to take an exam to be accepted as a student to prove that you were high enough caliber. And I did it with a foot ankle specialist.
Oh.
Which is, I don't recommend as a student because the licensure exam is not specialized, it's general. But anyhow, that was so it's just always been, well, anyhow, cheers to all the things.
Cheers.
Then that was I ran my '05. Was my first ultra. I graduated from PT school in '07. So then I was running races up, and I ran Horty's races for the next couple of years. And my plan after PT school had always been to move to Bend, Oregon.
Back to where you were born.
I was born in Portland, but I wanted to live.
Back to Oregon, yeah.
Yeah, so Bend, Oregon, mountain town, running, all that. And so at that time, when I moved to Bend in '07, it was it was the hub of ultra running.
Yeah.
So that was in '07. It was like Chrissy Mail, who else was there? Chrissy Mail, Sean Meisner, Hal Kerner. Yeah. Rod Bean owned the Patagonia store, and then he opened a Fleet Feet. And again, super welcoming. When I'd lived on the East Coast, I'd usually finish like top, age group top 3 kind of. And then I moved to Bend, and I'm like solid middle of the pack. Like, what is happening? And now somehow all of my friends are like elite runners. And like Meisner, and I'm like, I can't keep up with these. Like, for one, I've got a job. Like, I'm not running as much. But I was, Sean Meisner, if you don't know him, he is one of the most quality human beings you will ever meet in your life. And he's just everything everything good about the ultra running community. Yeah. And they would invite me to come running with them for group runs, and I would demur and say, no, I can't. And then finally, I didn't want to, because I knew I couldn't keep up, and I was embarrassed. Sure. And so finally, we were at the Deschutes Brewery one night, and I was like, Sean, I'm a little embarrassed, but like, I don't want you to think I'm being rude, but like, I don't feel like I'm not showing up for group runs because I can't keep up with you all, and I'm a little embarrassed about it. And he's like, well, no, we'll work it out. Don't worry about it. And so he's like, no, you're fine. We would do out and back. Like, they were like, hey, we'll just do an out and back. And so you run until you need to turn around, and we're good. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it was that easy, huh?
Yes.
And it was just this amazing
Yeah.
group of people. It was the hub of ultra running. Of course then I, commenced running a bunch of ultras, and I had my place. There was a place for everyone. We'd
Yeah.
go like the Strawberry Mountains and run in the mountains for the weekend. And of course, I'm not as fast as these elite, they were these elite people, but I had a place. Like I would run, they'd make sure that there was because honey, I do not belong alone in the woods. Don't give me a map. It's like giving a blind man a flashlight. Like I have no sense of direction. I've had like my dog or my horse to like bring me back to the car my whole life. And so we would do where, I'd run and Sean would be like, all right, we'd have a plan. He'd go, okay, yeah, time for you to turn back. And then I would make sure that by the time they got done, that the camp was like the fire was lit. The Reese's peanut butter cups were warming by the fire because that's how you make a proper s'more.
Oh.
It's a s'mores deluxe.
Wait, stop, time out.
Or you could also call it a TKO s'more because those are my initials.
Okay.
S'mores
Talk us through
deluxe is graham cracker,
Okay.
marshmallow,
Okay.
and then a Reese's peanut butter cup and a graham cracker.
You're kidding.
So you swap the Hershey's chocolate.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, because the peanut butter cup has a little bit of structure to it.
Yeah.
You need to set it along. There's a little bit of an art to this. It needs to kind of pre-warm so the ridges are a little bit soft. And so it doesn't crunch. So you set the Reese's peanut butter cups just a little bit like on one of the warm rocks on the side. And that is...
TKO Smart.
Oh, we had so much fun. But it was again, ultra running community, just open and amazing and inclusive and no shame and
so
incredible people.
I know some of your stories, so I know that's kind of how you get to Western States. But before we talk about how you got there, are you doing foot care at other trail races before the Western States one? No?
I wasn't doing, I was dabbling. I wasn't doing anything like, if people had a question. Okay, so physical therapy, especially now that it's a doctorate for the entry-level degree, we have a really broad level of training. And there's many, many settings that we are trained to work in. And then if you work in PT school, but then if you work in that setting, then of course you expand your knowledge and you kind of niche down. A setting and a specialty that PTs are trained to work in is wound care.
Oh, sure.
And I have always been interested in wound care. If we go back to the horses that I rode where I lived in junior high and high school, junior high especially, my horse lived at a quarter horse breeding farm in a small town in Wisconsin, like 45 minutes from Duluth. There wasn't a lot of money. There were 2 stallions, 8 brood mares, so there's 8 babies every year. There was like 265 acres, and there were barbed wire fences still.
Yeah.
And horses in general can find ways to get themselves injured, even if there's nothing that you can see that they could get injured with. So there were many occasions where the horses would get wounded. They would have pretty significant wounds that needed to be attended to. And since there wasn't a lot of money, the vet would be like, here's what you need to do. Then now you do your own wound dressing changes and stuff like that. And so one of the really cool things that happened is Dee Dee was this broodmare she was fantastic, best mother in the world. Somehow, I don't know how it happened because she had such a good disposition. She got her hind leg, like the knee of their hind leg is called the hock, got it wrapped up in barbed wire.
Oh, God.
And the wound was bad. And if she was a riding horse, they would have put her down because she just needed to push up. She just needed to have babies. And so we just needed to get that wound to heal. And it didn't matter if she couldn't bend or hock, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But horses below the knee, because they don't have as much blood supply, something happens called proud flesh or granulation tissue, which is where excess tissue grows, and then that can become problematic. And so with Dee Dee, we would do, actually, it was some pretty advanced wound care. When I got older, we would scrub the proud flesh down with I shit you not, a green scrubby.
Oh, the green ones.
Like
those, yeah.
Like, when you're washing dishes.
Oh, yeah.
We'd scrub it down until it bled,
Yep.
which is scrubbing off all the dead tissue,
Yeah.
and then creating exposing the clean, like, new tissue. And then we would put like some salve on it, like ointment,
Yeah.
that was, healing ointment. And then we would wrap a baby's diaper around it and then duct tape that on her hock.
Oh, God.
And so she's out at the broodmare barn, right?
Yeah.
Which is not like right up near the main barn. And so I'm not kidding. So you would know that the bandage needed to be changed when the coyotes would start getting close to the broodmare barn, because they could smell the decay of her hock, of that wound. And then you'd bring Dee Dee into the barn.
Oh, God.
Now, mind you, you're feeding him and stuff like that, but that was always the tell in the evening. If you start hearing the coyotes, you're like, oh, probably ought to work.
God.
Probably ought to take a look at Dee Dee's
Change
bandage.
the bandage.
And so you'd cut the diaper off, and it'd be all raggedy, and maggots would just fall out. And that's actually exactly what should be happening, because the maggots eat dead tissue.
Dead tissue, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I cannot get grossed out by wounds.
Yeah.
So I grew up doing wound care.
Yep.
And then you probably have noticed in my foot care stuff, like, what my perspective is based on, because then as a PT, I ended up working and learning and specializing in wound care as well.
Yeah.
Like wound care in a proper, educated format. Right. And so that's where my approach to foot care is very different than a lot of folks, because I understand tissue dynamics, tissue healing. I understand the components that you need to use and the properties of products that you need to use to attend to the tissue. So I just understand, like, the why behind of all the things. So again, the horses prepared me for being a foot care weirdo.
That one promise your dad kept, look how that changed your whole life.
100%.
Isn't
And
crazy?
there's a lot of things I could have been like kind of sour grapes about, but I just, Dad kept the one promise.
That's crazy.
And he knew, it's like he knew. Yeah. He knew that was,
that was it. Okay, so
Dad.
you're in Oregon.
Cheers to Dad.
Yeah, cheers. I don't know if your dad is still with
Jack
us.
Olson
but,
and Lazy Lion Larry Larson.
There you go. Toast our dads. So you're in Oregon hanging out with all these classic trail runners from back in the day. How do you end up at Michigan Bluff's aid station with, it's John Vonoff, right? How do you end up there? How does that happen?
Oh, hang on. I got to find. I wanted to show you the reason I ended up at States that year. Ha! Found it. I should have had it out. So, crew of people from Bend.
Okay. For my listening audience, she's holding up a Team Oregon t-shirt or
a singlet.
Thank you.
And it was 2008.
Okay.
And so on the back, we have all the people.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Nice.
And I'll read. So we had, this was back in the day when it was a little easier to get in. So we had Megan Arbogast, and she goes by Canfield now. Willie Bogue, Todd Braj, Rob Kane, he lives in Ashland, John Nass, Karen Nass, David Granum, Liz Kellogg, Hal Kerner,
wow,
Prudence LaRue, Sean Meisner, Dan Olmsted, Neil Olson, Tom Pelser, Brad Putman, Jeff Riley, Thomas B. Riley, John Robinson, Cammie Semick was winning a lot of races back then. Jen Shelton, Derek D. Snelling, Larry Stevens, Craig Thornley.
No
The
way.
race director of Western States.
God.
He ran it, yeah. Scott Wolf, who was also deeply involved in Western States, and then Kelly Woodkey. So those are all the people from Oregon who were going to Western States. Oh, that was in 2008. I've been telling the story wrong all this time.
Why? What?
Huh.
Okay.
So, of course, I roll in. So, of course, I go to States with my friends, because why would I not?
Right.
But I didn't have a plan for where to volunteer or what to do. I just, went down with my friends.
Right.
And, of course, Sean Meisner, I already had my propensity for foot stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, Sean, like, where should I go? Like, what should I do? Where you guys are, like, running. And he goes, go to Michigan Bluff. John Von Hoffa's there.
Okay.
And that's where it all started.
So you roll in there, and because of your experience, does he go, who the hell is this? Or is he immediately like, oh, you could probably actually be helpful? Or how does that, what's that connection like?
Nobody.
Yeah.
No, he had no idea who I was. So I just roll into Michigan Bluff, and this is back, it's not nothing like it is now. I roll in, and I kind of walk up, and I was just like, oh, hey, my name's Tonya. Nice to meet you. I'd like to help you with feet today. And he's like, okay. And like, he's one of those people, like, instantly we're simpatico.
Okay.
Like, in, 1 minute, he knew that I had a clue.
Okay.
And, we just work together so incredibly well.
Wow.
And that's where it all started. We worked together, 10 years at Michigan Bluff.
Wow.
Just elbow deep in feet. And just, how do you not show up?
So you get there, and immediately that first year, you're like, people are coming in, and you're like, oh, let's do this. Had you already this is what you should do for blisters? You already kind of knew that, or were you kind of learning on the job a little bit from John as well, or?
Well, I already knew the basics, of course. And then I definitely looked at John for the race, the trail side during a race interventions.
Okay.
And because, he'd been at Michigan Bluff, so there's a little bit of especially a race like States, there's a little bit of a different kind of, when you're helping somebody during a race, because a lot of what I'd done is at that point is a little more problem solving before and after, as a PT, in my work, because I had a lot of ultra runners I treated. And so that's where he brought that race, that during the trail side intervention mindset, and so I kind of learned from him, he had his system. He's very methodical and detail oriented. He has a researcher's mind. Okay. And we play off each other really well, because I'm a little bit of a wingnut. I'm organized, but I'm a little more free flowing. Yeah. And so we just really suited each other really, really well. In the way that our flow, and then I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. And he'd be like, oh, I do it this way. And I'm like, oh, well, that's because blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. He just figured it out. He just figured stuff out. Okay. And I'd be able to say, oh, but the reason why that works is because X, Y, Z. Yeah. Awesome. And so that first year, when it was very obvious this is exactly where I needed to be. I'll have to send you the photo. I wonder if I can find it. That first year, we've got a runner, Tom something or other, his last name. He was, I saw him sitting off to the side at Michigan Bluff. And I'm they know I'm there. They know, I'm assuming that my friends, because he knew me and they knew we're footcare. I'm assuming that if somebody needs help, they're going to ask me. Yeah. And so finally I'm like, Tom, what are you doing? I walk over. I'm like, Tom, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, my toe hurts. And I'm like, for Jesus Christ, get to the freaking, what is wrong with you? Get over here. Like, do you not know that's what we do? Like, just
this is why we're
sit
here.
down and shush your face. I'm like, and so his big toe, like the big why does it, it's never, this joint right here.
Yes.
When it moved, it hurt.
Okay.
And he doesn't know what to do. Because it's really affecting his stride. He's like, I don't know if I can finish. And I'm like, well, sitting your ass over there for 20 minutes certainly isn't going to help you.
Nope.
And I'm like, so here's the thing. If it hurts when it moves, how about we make it not move?
Oh.
How about we do that? And so I'm like, okay, we need what I can stabilize this joint by, and this is where my PT mind is kicking in. I'm like, okay, I need to stabilize that big toe joint. And so I just need some tongue depressors. And, there's no tongue depressor. And so I'm like, all right. So I ask, so Carol Hewitt, it's her house that's at Michigan Bluff. I don't know. I asked somebody and I was like, can I need something like a tongue depressor? Can you just go and root around in the garage up there and see if you can find something? So I can't remember who it was. It comes back with a paint stick, a stir stick.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, do you think this could work? I'm like, 100%. Are there tools in there like bevel or like something sharp that you can kind of modify this with? He goes, 100. I got you. And so I said, bevel, make it be, and I showed him on the footbed. I'm like, make it be like this long, and then bevel down on either end. But this end is more important to be like beveled and kind of like slanted and small, and have a less thickness. And he's like, okay, I'm on it. And so he goes up and he takes this paint stick, cuts it to order, bevels the end so that's that's not thick and it's graded. He did a beautiful job. So I duct taped that to the underside of the footbed.
Duct taped it.
And so I stiffened the sole so his big toe didn't have to bend when he would toe off because I created that stiffness. And so I have a photo, and so I sent him on his way. I'm like, this is not going to be pretty, but you can, there's no reason why you can't finish. Well, now he'd spent 20 minutes there, and I think he timed. I think he got. I think it was no hands. He was like he was less. He was just a couple miles from the finish, and he got pulled because he missed the cutoff. Heartbreaking because it didn't have to happen if they'd come to ask. Anyhow. So later that week, John emails me a photo of Tom with the shoe, with the insole and the duct taped paint stick. And somebody in one of the subsequent aid stations they'd seen it and they took a picture of it and they're like, what kind of genius was that? And John's like, yeah, we're going to need you to come back next year.
Oh, God. That is awesome.
And Thornley was like, he's like, you're in, girl. But he wasn't, I don't think he was a race director.
I don't think he was a race director. That was
not in 08. No, that was the year he ran it. Yeah.
2008 or 9, you said?
8. It was 8, yeah.
And you've been back.
So that's where it all started.
Every year since?
Yep.
Always at Michigan Bluff?
Yep.
Always with John?
Well, here's the thing.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So John and I were 10 years at Michigan Bluff. Okay. There was the year that it was. Oh wait, hang on. No, I didn't do the math wrong. This is the year that it was canceled because of the fire.
Oh, okay.
So 08 didn't happen.
So it's the next year.
It was 2009 was my first year. Yeah, so a lot of those same people went back. So then, it was 09 because I was like, wait, did I do
09 and then COVID, it was canceled, I assume, 2020.
COVID, so 2020. So 08 didn't happen. 09 was my first year there. That's good because that's what I've always said. And then 2020, I didn't go. And so John, we were 10 years. So 2019, he lived in Manteca, California. Okay. And he would pack his truck and bring everything that we needed for the medical foot care at the aid station, the medical station, but for foot care. We would bring we would drive in and bring all of the physical supplies that we needed. Okay. Pop-up tent, table, chairs. We paid for all of the tapes and all the things. And after a few years, I was like, John, shouldn't the race pay for the supplies? Like,
right?
Have you ever asked? This is like I was I'm broke. Like I'm a broke new professional, and anyhow, that was a whole. So he moved from Manteca, California. He retired and moved to the East Coast to Tennessee. And so after that, I think it was like 2018 or something around there. So then it was just me kind of leading the charge at Michigan Bluff. But at that point, so you're at Michigan Bluff, you're having this really intense experience with these runners. They come in, you tape them back you fluff up their confidence, and you get them to take them out of the doldrums of just the depths of despair. You tape them back up, send them on their way, and so I'm like, well, just come. So I always work the finish, medical tent at the finish, which is, I call it counseling and closure. Nobody needs foot care, but but it's a nice way to find out how the tape held up. So I'd always tell the runners, stop in at the medical tent at the finish and tell me what happened. Because I want to know if I was helpful. I want to know if what I did was helpful. Did it hold up? Do I need to do things differently? Constantly critiquing my technique and from feedback from the runners and all that. And so I always will do. So the routine at Michigan Bluff with John, we'd get there like 10 o'clock in the morning, get everything set up, hang out a little bit, and it was people kind of trickle in. We kind of it would be super busy, closer to the cutoffs, and then we would close it down like midnight is when it closes. I can't remember. And then we'd stop at Forest Hill and hang out with the doc who works there because he's amazing. And then we would park somewhere near the finish, sleep in the cars for a couple hours, and then we would always end up at the medical tent. Because we're not ready for the day to end. Yeah. We want to see how these runners did, and then they're asking questions. What do I do with my feet? And we're like making sure, and people are telling their stories. Yeah. And so it was always, the medical people are long gone. People are going to the awards ceremony, and I'm still sitting there with a handful of my foot people because it's just not ready to let it move.
For it to end.
It's my favorite, and then you're there for golden hour, and it was just such a beautiful, rewarding, amazing time to wrap up the weekend. And the other thing that was really beautiful is the first 12 years I was at Michigan Bluff, the medical captain was a 10-year finisher of Western States. So he had his 1,000-mile buckle.
Wow.
He's a neurologist, Kevin Sawchuk, Dr. Kevin Sawchuk, absolutely quality human being. So what I learned from him, and this is what people don't fully appreciate, is during races, foot care, we're triaging the runners physiologically and psychologically, and foot care. So they won't go to medical, but they'll sit in foot care. And if they decompensate and pass out or any of that kind of thing, that'll happen. It's rare that they go directly to medical. They end up sitting in foot care, and then we figure out that they're going to need a little medical, and then they kind of move them on. But Kevin Sawchuk, I learned from him, how to properly triage a runner. How do you assess a runner? How do you ask them questions that are assessing their cognition? How do we problem solve their hydration and their nutrition? And help them do what they need to do while they're in the the chair and to help them advise them appropriately to get to the finish. And what I loved about Kevin is I called him my closer, because the docs usually, they don't need to be doing foot care because they need to be available to do doctory things. And for the most part, they're not super interested because they have their own skill set. And so Kevin, my doctors that I work with at the aid stations are usually my toe spreaders. And they pick up the trash. They're so sweet. So Kevin was my toe spreader, putting the tape on. He just, such an amazing human being. But I've just learned so much from both. And John was he was running ultras back in the 80s and 90s, and so their collective wisdom really brought my approach to foot care far past just putting tape on skin.
Wow.
And so that's what I came from, is that triaging, assessing the runner, instructing the crew, being that psychological safety space for everyone involved with this runner. Because sometimes the crew are freaked out. They haven't done this before, especially if they're family members and they see dad who's destroyed and they're scared. And in physical therapy, there's a lot of psychology and psychosocial. So that's really, I was really, really fortunate to have some amazing mentors early in my foot care kind of world. So that's the thing. And now I've added pre-race education and training.
Okay.
That's been something that Craig Thornley has always been very encouraging with. And then Andy Pasternak, when he came in he's the medical director. When he came in as the medical director, I think 6 years ago, he was really helpful in, for one, finally the race actually pays for the supplies that we use.
The tongue depressors.
So it's no longer subsidized by
paint sticks and tongue depressors.
So the foot care supplies were no longer paid for by a broke physical therapy graduate student.
Yes.
Fucking we've just done a lot at States with really creating a comprehensive foot care program for the entire race weekend, and including the now I start advising runners for the training runs, Memorial Day weekend. And that's a really great place to start, if you haven't created a foot care plan, to start kind of problem solving and trying to figure out what is the best foot care plan for yourself because Western States has gone from, a race that you could run 10 times was a reasonable expectation, to now it's a once in a lifetime experience. And I feel I have personally felt very strongly about the role that I play, because foot care and GI issues are the number 1 and 2 reason why people drop out of ultras. And GI issues, you know full well that sometimes things just go sideways and you can't predict it. Foot care is largely foot care issues are largely preventable. And it absolutely breaks my heart when somebody comes in at Michigan Bluff and I look at their feet and I'm like, this did not have to happen. And I know that they spent years trying to get in, and they, the money and it's just, and they're not having the race that they deserve to have, that they prepared for, because I didn't teach them. Somehow they didn't reach my content, or and it's just, that's been the thing the last bunch of years now that I've really realized is and we've taken it to another level at Michigan Bluff. We used to cut the tape when the runner would sit down. You'd individually cut the tape, and it would, somebody be there 15, 20 minutes. And then I'm like, John, this is not efficient. And so we started pre-cutting the tape for the toes. And then I've had some volunteers at Michigan Bluff that have been consistent over the last 5 years, that this year, and so we've been trying to cut down the amount of time that people are spending in the chair, because that can be the difference between making the cutoffs or not. And, I just am really, really mindful of that. And so so we've been focusing on how do we get people out of the chairs as fast as possible. And so when Kevin Sawchuk, I'm going back, when Kevin Sawchuk, when he was at Michigan Bluff, I could use him as my closer. So if I've got a runner who's in their head and they need to be talked off their ledge and out onto the course, and I've done with their feet, I'd be like, he'd keep an eye on me, and I'd sometimes just be able to give him the chin nod or like raise my hand, and Kevin would come over with his 1,000-mile buckle, and he'd be able to just get that person out of their head and down the trail. Nice. Well, when Kevin stopped working at Michigan Bluff, I'm completely lost because the medical captain at Michigan Bluff now is not a runner.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Even remotely.
Yeah.
Has no knowledge of ultra runners, any of that. So I'm like, what do I do? And that first year, I was like rudderless. I don't have Von Hoff. I don't have Sawchuk. Like, who am I going to use as my closers? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I got everything set up, and I look around. And so at Michigan Bluff, in the yard, they call it the Michigan Bluff Social Club. Okay. And so it's all these old guard, OG, Western States ultra runners. There's 1,000-mile buckles, 2,000-mile buckles. Yeah. And so I'm like, these runners are going to need help. I don't have my closer. And so I walk over to this gaggle of folks, and I'm just like, hey guys, here's the situation. I don't have Sawchuk to help me this year as my closer. I need the runners at some point today are going to need somebody to talk them out of their chair and back on the trail. Like, can I count on you all to kind of keep an eye on me so that we can get these runners out? And I tell you what happened. These runners, these old school, like they've got some miles on them, they got some years on them, and they go from just kind of sitting there like this, with their beer in their hand to, yeah, girl, you just let us know. And they were just watching like a hawk. Yep. I'm like, if anyone sits in a chair for any length of time that you think, you can tell. If it just, you guys know, you've been there, done that. And so they're watching me like a hawk that whole day. And I could just, most of the time they'd amble over before I needed them, but they knew, and they were on point. And we're using that collective knowledge of these, 1,000-mile buckle holders, and it was absolutely a Western States ultra running community moment that I'm so proud of. And they just stepped up, and I rely on them 100%. And what happened also was Andy Jones-Wilkins started coming to Michigan Bluff.
Oh, wow.
And, oh my God. So I rely on him. So there has been any number of times where I got a runner, I've got them out of the chair, but they need just a little extra, and I can just holler down the road, HW! And he just, whoop, and I'm like, 93, get him down the trail. And he's just on it. Like a fucking border collie. That man's got a task.
Oh, I love it.
And so we've got this amazing, community at Michigan Bluff. Now we've got our closers, we got our OGs, and then I've got my experienced volunteers. Now we had enough people this year, we worked in teams. And I've got this dad-daughter team that are amazing. And Dad keeps the paperwork, or he keeps the log. I've been keeping data at Michigan Bluff since 2012. And so he records all the stuff. Yeah. But we were able to work in teams. And we got the amount of time the runners spent in the chairs down to between 6 and 16 minutes.
Wow.
And which is mind-boggling. Wow. And it was really the average amount of time people would spend in the chair was 8 minutes. Wow. And this is, if they're sitting at Michigan Bluff, their hydration, nutrition, changing their shirts, instructing their crew, and we're doing foot care at the same time. Wow. All of that. And so that is one of the things that I'm the most proud of that constant development of the foot care, because these people, this is a once-in-a-lifetime race, and it's our job to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to get them to be able to have the race that they've prepared for, and that all of the obstacles are reduced or obliterated.
Yeah.
And I have so many really cool stories
Awesome.
of just really amazing. Oh, wait, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm
No,
just
this is great.
taking over. Okay, so that first year where I don't have my closer
Yeah.
medical captain, there's this woman comes in and she's just in the doldrums. She's just despair. And I kind of call over one of the women that were sitting with the old Michigan Bluffs social club, and this woman comes over. I'm like, can you get her out of her head and out of this chair? And I got it. And so they chat for a little while, and then the woman walks away, and I look at that runner, and she's perked up. She's a little reluctant, but she's gonna get back on the trail. And I looked at her, and I kneel down in front of her. I put my hands on her knees, and I'm like, do you know who that was? And she's just like, no. I'm like, that was Anne Trayson.
Oh my God.
And she just, tears just started streaming down her eye, because I'm
Oh,
started to cry too, like, because you're just so emotional. I'm
goosebumps.
like, that was Anne fucking Trayson.
Wow.
Are you going to do what she said?
Yep.
She's like, I'm
Yeah.
like, you better get out of this chair, because you're going to be disrespecting the legend.
Yeah.
And it's like her whole demeanor, like she got like 10 feet taller, and she like levitated out of that chair and down the road. And it was just, oh my God, I love
Awesome.
it.
Love it.
Anyhow, that's how I approach foot care.
I love it. And it's fun to talk about Western states. I dream of going there. I interviewed Julie Anding a while back, and she volunteers at one of the aid stations. I forget which one. Last
Okay.
Chance, maybe. And my guest last week, he is the guy. You talked about how time can make a difference. He finished 2 minutes after the cutoff. He was the guy
Edgar,
the first finisher.
last year.
Yeah, Neeraj Egbert. I
Oh,
interviewed. He was my last
Edgar.
podcast guest. He's amazing. I just love
Oh,
him.
crushed us.
He and he
Whoa,
talked about
I
blisters. So
cannot.
you probably worked on his feet. I don't know, but
We've kept in touch.
okay.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't work on him.
Okay.
And he's a PT, by the way. And so
He
we kept
is.
in touch. But no, he crushed my
Yeah.
soul.
Well,
Because and when they gave him the man against horse race at the
yeah.
awards ceremony, and they gave him an entry, there was not a dry eye in that whole freaking place.
He
Like
was
everyone
just
was just
so moved, and he's the most humble guy. He's like, I don't
quality
deserve this.
human being.
I'm like, no.
Yes, he
I
does.
said in my intro in my podcast I did with him, I said sometimes fate has a way of knowing just who to shine
Yeah,
down on, and you are the one it
yeah.
should have shined down.
He
So
absolutely deserves
he's
it.
coming back, and
Oh,
he's gonna crush it this year. I just know it. So
he is.
and I'm
Oh my
interviewing a
gosh.
guy in a while who got one of the lottery entries last year, so he'll be running it, and he has early onset Lewy body dementia, so he's an
I
amazing
follow him on Instagram,
Wes.
I think.
Yes, Wes Cornett.
Yeah. I follow him on IG.
He
Yeah.
and I were messaging today, and he's agreed to do an interview, so I can't wait to talk to him. So this is really fun to do all these Western State stories. One
Oh,
of these years, I'll never get
oh
to
my
run
God.
it, but I hope to get out there to
But
volunteer or
so
something. But
here's
yeah,
yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I mean, you don't have to run a race to be a part of
right.
it. And think about like the profound effect. Like you said, fate.
Yeah.
Like if fate wants you in it, you're going to get in it. Like, but think about the profound effect that you can have on another person's experience by being a volunteer. And you're still a part of it. And in a way, it's a I don't want to say, well, I'll just say selfish. Like when you're running it, it's just about you, and you're experiencing. But when you're a volunteer and you've got so much more contact with different runners, or like it's as rewarding as running, I would
Yeah.
say. But there's room for you.
Yeah.
There's room for you to be a part of the
Yeah.
magic. We will
I'm
find you a place. All you have to do is show
I
up.
know. My friend Julie, she's like, you should come out and volunteer at that aid station. I might one of these years, so just to get out there and experience it.
Oh,
But
you know it's a fun. Well, okay, so you've got Julie, but Brown's Bar, it's not called Brown's Bar anymore. That's the Ashland, Oregon aid
okay.
station. And that's Hal Kerner and
Okay.
crew, like Rogue Valley Runners, like, and that's a fun aid
Is
station
that the
for
one that
sure.
Jurek is at? Which one is Scott Jurek at?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's been showing up
Yeah.
there. But yeah, that's a fun group. I lived in Ashland, by the way, for a while
Nice.
too. But
Nice.
no, just come out and be a part of
Yeah.
it. Like it's just
I will
there's
one of
room
these
for you.
years. Gosh, we are just chatting. We hardly have talked any foot
Sorry.
care, have we? This is awesome. Okay, this is
What
good.
are your questions?
We're going to talk a little bit of
What are your
foot care
questions?
since this is what you do at the very end here. I got a few questions I wrote down here that I wanted to ask you. Question number 1, do you ever desire to run Western States?
So interesting that you asked that
Right?
question. Um, so I give you the medium answer because that's apparently what I do. Um, I've never been interested in running 100 miles. Mostly because historically my lifestyle or my professional obligations have really not allowed me to like have that self-focused like the training to be like all in for training. And I feel like, if you're going to run 100, you should ought to prepare yourself. And so it's not something I've ever been interested in, but now that I've been so Andy Pasternak, his wife, his wife Joanne, she's a anesthesiologist, Joanne Ellerow. So she ran states either last year or the year before. It was a year before, and she got it because every aid station gets an entry, and so she ran it. And I was just so the short answer is no, but the medium answer is I kind of feel like if I were to able to create the proper, if I were to be able to create the opportunity, if I were to be able to honor the race and prepare and train enough for it, I think for a long time volunteer like myself, I just saw how meaningful that was to Joanne because, it was her people, and the co-director Carrie ran it last year. So I'm considering it, but I would have to be able to, just because they're my people now, right?
Well, I had to ask. I wrote it down. I thought that's probably a question you don't get asked a lot. What is
No.
besides Western States? Is there another running ultra race marathon that you haven't done yet, or that you want to do again? That is there a race out there that you're like, yeah, I kind of want to do that one?
Oh, I was so fortunate early in my ultra running career or experience. I ran some really cool races that I would love to go back to.
Okay.
The Siskiyou Outback in Ashland is magical. I toyed with the idea of running Hellgate this year or Masochist because it's my 20-year anniversary of my first ultra, but I didn't. The training wasn't going to happen this year, so I would love to go back, like the Siskiyou Outback, Mac Forest. I would love to go back and run Mac Forest. Hellgate would be fun to do for sure. There's some races in the Chamonix area because I know Doug Mayer from Run the Alps. I think there's
Yeah.
I think when I'm gonna pick up and start running long again, but I would really like to revisit some of the old the standards. The ones that started it all for me.
Tim Tollefson has me convinced, and I'm obsessed now. I did apply this year, but I didn't get in. Lavaredo, not the long one, but like the 50K. I kind of want to run in the Alps somewhere. And
I don't know what that is. That's the thing is that I've been
Lavaredo's the Dolomites. It's the same weekend
Is
as
it?
States, so you can't
The
do it because you'll be at Michigan Bluff.
Dolomites. Oh my
It's
God,
the
I love the
same weekend
Dolomites.
as States.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Dolomites. Yeah, or I mean,
The Alps, just the
oh,
Alps, you know. The
Zena,
Alps look beautiful. Yeah.
Sierra. Oh,
Uh,
Sierra Zenal.
oh, Sierra
There's a
Zinal. Yeah,
Zenal
yeah,
there. That's the one
yeah.
that's because I met Doug before, like when he was starting around the Alps, and that one's kind of been
Niraj
like.
and I,
There's just so many amazing races to
Niraj
do.
and I, we were talking at the end of our pod. I asked him his dream race, and it's kind of a race I'd love to do too. Diagonal de Fou, which is the on Reunion Island. That race, it's late in the year. It's like November. It's crazy hard. I know Dylan Bowman did a
Where's
film on it. He
Reunion
had a horrible
Island?
day out there. It's off the coast of Africa. And he's from India. So he's like, oh, it's
Oh,
kind of like close to India almost. But it's a French territory, but it's
interesting.
this island off the coast of Africa. It is amazing. It's all these volcanoes. It's just this incredible terrain and this terribly difficult, iconic French race. Diagonal de Fou, I think it's called. Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Oh, I tell you. Now going back, Orcas Island.
I've heard of that.
50K, I think
Yeah.
it's 50, it's a 50K 50. That
I've
race
heard.
is is Hellgate special. You got to take a
Yeah.
ferry. Like there's the vortex. There's the Orcas Island vortex. It's a whole thing where the magnetic is a whole
Yeah.
unbelievable. I did Orcas Island back in the early days of Rain Shadow running. Um, It was absolutely just an incredible experience.
Right.
It was, I think, it was back. That was back when like our I Run Far was not even. It was barely a thing. Brian Powell was there, like the whole crew. It was. Oh my God, it was insane.
Crazy.
But yeah, there was whiskey. It was Orcas
I always
Island
love
is
whiskey.
mad. That is a magical race. I would love to just
And one more question I asked for you, and then I've got two kind of closing things. What's the worst foot you've ever seen? What's the worst thing you've ever seen? Give me the details.
Oh my God, it's a Western State story. I love it.
Yep. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Come on.
So now, mind you, because I've been doing a better job about, especially the States has been supporting like me educating people ahead of time.
Yeah.
The carnage that we see at Michigan Bluff is significantly less than it used to be back in the early years. So this was probably 2010 or so, and this dude he's big guy, 6 foot something, probably 250, 300 pounds. I'm not really good at that math about weight, but he's a big, sturdy man. And he's kind of shuffling in. He collapses into the chair, and he's got this tiny little 5 foot, 100 and maybe 98-pound woman who's his wife. And she's like, no, 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 no. And he's got a super thick Russian accent. He sits down. He's like, oh, my feet. They're done. and I'm like telling the wife, okay, get him food. Da, 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 da. And so I take his shoes off. And so when your foot skin is exposed to moisture for a long period of time, and that moisture, the main creator of the moisture is the 250,000 sweat glands per foot. It's not the stream crossing
Yeah.
stream you go across for 32 seconds. It is your foot. Your foot is bathing the skin. And when that skin softens and becomes fragile, it is called maceration. If you're uncomfortable with that word, you can call it swamp foot, because that might sound cooler.
I don't think it
By
sounds.
all means, and under no circumstances, should you refer to that situation as trench foot. Because it is absolutely 100% not. That's like saying if you have low blood sugar that you have diabetes. Trench foot is multiple days of complete immersion in temperatures below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's my topic and my soapbox. So this guy's feet were so macerated, and when your skin gets macerated, the top layer, the epidermis, that is comprised of dead skin cells, it actually disconnects, kind of delaminates from the underlying layer, which is the dermis, where the blood vessels and the nerves are. And so when you have a blister, the dermis is that red, tender skin underneath. When you've had that happen on the bottom of the foot, the skin wrinkles up, and then especially on the ball of the foot, the wrinkles then rub together, and if you do nothing, and those wrinkles, if they rub together long enough of that fragile skin, they will tear.
Oh, God.
Yeah. This man, a lot of times it's just a vertical tear right in the middle of the foot, like in the middle of the ball of the foot. Yeah. A lot of times it'll just start. This man had a vertical tear from the base of his second toe all the way down to the heel.
Oh my God.
And the skin had split. The dermis was exposed underneath. And I'm like, that's gotta hurt.
Oh my God.
But because I've done this before, here's the thing. Do not panic if that does happen. Ideally, you prevent it, I think. But foot care people out there, or anyone, you can, if this is important for the runner or the athlete to continue, you can fix this. It's still going to hurt to run, but you can mitigate the damage and protect the tissue. So what you do is you approximate the epidermis. You get the edges as close as possible, and then you tape over it.
You tape it together.
And and then you just tape over it. And so ideally, you get those edges as close as possible, and if you can get them close enough, then you can just put the kinesiology tape over it. If you have exposed dermis, using a hydrogel patch is a lot more comfortable for the runner. If you don't have a hydrogel patch, don't just tape over it. Okay. You could put a little A&D. You could put some antibiotic or some kind of a skin barrier ointment if you want. But if the dermis is exposed, it's exuding so much serous fluid, which is what fills the blister, that I used to be super worried about tape. Not so much, because your skin's creating that fluid, and the tape's not going to really. Anyhow, you can tape over that. So this man, both of his feet,
both of them,
were split. And meanwhile, he's eating a cheeseburger and he's asking for a beer. And his wife is like flitting around. And so I'm like, and John was taken aback. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, John, we got this. Totally fine. And the one of my longtime volunteers, I think she was there, and it was a learning experience for her. So we get everything approximated as best we can. We tape over it. I think I did a couple layers, and I told him, I said, under no circumstances are you to touch this tape. If you do not stop at any other aid station, okay, you can stop at Forest Hill if you really think you need to, but I don't recommend it. You need to just get to the finish, because the last thing he needs is to have somebody who is meaning well pull the tape off and tear all of his skin with it. So I'm like, do not touch, just leave it. Okay. And so he finished.
He finished in time, under 30 hours.
He finished.
Oh.
I saw him at the medical tent at the finish, and he waddles in, shuffles in, he sits down in the chair, and he wants me to take off his shoes and look at his feet. And I'm like, and I'm looking at his 5 foot nothing wife and this big man. And I'm like, are you staying in a hotel? Yeah, we're staying in a hotel. I'm like, when are you flying out? Like, when are you leaving? And he's like, oh, like, it was like the next day. Yeah. And I just said, I'm not, you cannot.
Don't.
You cannot take your shoes off.
Yep.
You like, I was terrified that he would take his shoes off and that the tape, like he would take the tape off, the shoes off, and then he would not be able to bear weight on his feet,
Yeah.
and his wife cannot help him,
Yeah.
and he's not going to be able to get to the airport.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not touching your shoes right now. When you get to the hotel, you leave your socks and your tape.
Yeah.
Just leave it on. Leave everything on. Take a bath, and then you put on some fresh socks. But like,
Don't take it off until the coyotes are howling and the maggots are going. Don't take it off till then.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
I was just like, yeah, I was just scared that he was going to get to the hotel, tear off the tape,
Yeah.
not be able to walk, and now they're trapped in the hotel room and they can't get to the airport.
Crazy. All right.
So that's like the worst.
That's awesome. I had to know. It was one of the first questions I wrote down is what's the worst? Okay, I've taken like your whole evening. Two last things. Before we get to the last thing, tell me, and I know we've taken a long time, and this doesn't have to be long answers, your top three. I know you preach prevention over reacting in the middle of a race. Give me your top three quickly preventative things to do to help your feet on a long ultra trail race.
So number one is you want to do everything you can to prevent maceration. And so using a hydrophobic ointment that protects the skin from moisture. That is absolutely essential. And the choice that you make about that skin barrier ointment, which is the proper term to use, skin barrier, the choice you make about the ointment itself should be based on the extremeness of the conditions.
Okay.
And so there's a product like Salty Britches is really robust and burly, and it's lanolin based, and it is uniquely suited for extreme conditions.
Okay.
And so that is the go-to if it's more extreme kind of stuff. The squirrel's nut butter is also very popular and very well known. It's a very solid product. It doesn't handle extreme as much. And so ideally, the product you're going to use, and the half-life of it or how long it lasts. So your changing of your socks, changing of your shoes should coincide with the amount of time that it takes for your skin barrier product to start losing its efficacy or start wearing off. So if it's about 6 hours if you use one, 10 hours if you use the other. And that's kind of trial and error kind of a thing. So that's where you can be the most efficient. Okay. And not just, you shouldn't, ideally you figure out the amount of time when you need to reapply. So you have to protect against maceration. Okay. Preventing maceration is critical. And then you also need to know your feet enough so that you're protecting the tissue that is at risk. And that would be if you consistently have a hot spot or a blister in one area or one toe, then you want to tape it. Okay. And calluses can be a good tell, but you should know your feet well enough. Like if you've ever had a problem there, then do something to protect that tissue. And even if let's say you get something on your big toe all the time, and you tape it, if you have to reapply, if your tape doesn't last, that doesn't mean it wasn't helpful. With the time that the tape was on your foot, it was protecting your skin. So you're preventing tissue breakdown. So, prevent maceration, know where you need to tape. Those are probably maybe the third thing was know how to time it. Okay. Probably the third thing that's really important is you have to have proper foot care supplies.
Oh, okay.
Everyone involved in ultra running needs to have a basic understanding of foot care. We don't have the luxury of saying, "Oh, I don't like feet." If you have people you care about who are running, they have feet. And at some point, they may need help, whether you like it or not. Sorry, I don't know, parents have to wipe their kids' snotty noses. They don't like it. You got to man up, and you don't get to tap weaponized incompetence, I think is the term. So everyone should have a basic foot care kit where you have your skin barrier ointment, you have your kinesiology tape, you have a needle so that you can lance if you need to. That's just your bare minimum. And then if you're doing anything that's longer, having, and it depends on your feet, but I don't like having a spool of lamb's wool
Okay.
can really, you don't need a lot of skill to do that. You can just, if you've got a spot, the runner can, you can just tuck it in where it hurts. And then that can really be a big deal. But having just, everyone should have basic foot care supplies
Okay.
and just a basic understanding of it there. So
Okay.
that's a long answer, but I think I kept it to three-ish.
No, the other thing you talk about real quickly is toenails. Just give me your elevator pitch on toenails because I've listened to it. I know what to do now, but my audience may not.
Well, you should actually acknowledge that they exist
Well, yeah,
and they could become
yeah.
problematic. So the rule of thumb for toenails is you want them to be as flat across the top as your toe anatomy allows. They're short, and that you also take, if you're going to do a long race, ideally what you do is you reduce the chance of toenail injury by functionally shortening the toenail, which is taking the extra step of filing lengthwise so that the end of the toenail, you thin it down, and that if you run your finger from the end of the toe towards your foot, you don't feel a leading edge. And this is what this does is it functionally shortens the toenail by making that leading edge flexible. And because it's flexible, it's essentially shorter. But it also reduces your risk of injury. There's multiple ways the toenails get injured. I'll keep it short. But even if you never have toenail issues, filing lengthwise, especially if you're going to be on trails, kicking a rock can be very devastating. If you kick a rock and your toenail is its normal thickness, let's say your big toenail, and you kick a rock, that if the end of the toenail is its normal thickness, that kicking of the rock can wrench the toenail up off the nail bed and be exquisitely painful. Now you've got a blood blister underneath there. It's a super big whole thing. Whereas if that edge is flexible, you kick a rock and that edge is just going to bend, and the chance of the toenail being wrenched up off of your toe is significantly reduced.
Okay.
So I think if you're going to do a bigger, longer race, you don't have to file lengthwise. In training or kind of the easier kind of shorter distances. But if you're doing something bigger or it's a more technical terrain, that definitely is not going to harm you.
Okay. Awesome. I usually close my podcast asking my guests their 5 favorite pieces of gear for running. And you've talked about a couple of these. I'm going to have you give me 5 specific products or things to help your feet, either before or during a race. And I know you've said a couple of them already, but I'll let you decide what's your 5 favorite pieces, specific things to help your feet, specific products.
So the 5 standard products would be your skin barrier, which is squirrel's nut or salty
Okay.
britches. And then you also need a liquid resin like mastisol or skin tack, which creates a tacky layer upon which the tape will stick.
Okay.
And that can allow you to have a tape job that will last 300 miles or 560 miles in 6 days. Like that really, having a liquid resin is a game changer.
Okay.
You need your kinesiology tape because that's the go-to.
Do you
for
have a
foot
brand
care.
that people you prefer?
Oh, my favorite brand is TheraBand.
Okay.
Now, at the end of the day, these are all about the same.
I know, but it's fun to know.
I've always gone with TheraBand because, because in the early days, the price point was good because, when I was subsidizing all of this myself. But it's a physical therapy brand. Okay. And TheraBand has a design on the tape. Oh, wait. Sorry. TheraBand, and so for me as a volunteer, for when I work foot care, I'm constantly critiquing my tape jobs. And so what I like about this is TheraBand. It's a physical therapy brand. It's the cotton-based kinesiology tape, but it has this really nice design on it.
Oh yeah.
That allows me to know, oh, that's my tape. I taped that foot, and so everyone loves the red though.
Oh yeah.
It's like Spider-Man. How do you not
Ducati
want this?
red. It's perfect.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. So I always use TheraBand. At the end of the day, kinesiology tape is kinesiology tape. But let's see. So
that's three.
What
Give
was
me
it?
two more products are your favorites for feet.
Blister Shield powder.
Blister Shield. Is that a brand name? Blister Shield?
Blister Shield, yes. Okay. So Blister Shield, it's 2 toms, Blister Shield powder.
Okay.
Now powder, it's a long story, but I'll keep it short. Powder can be something to use. It does not hold up under humid conditions. Okay. But a lot of times as people come in, their feet are already kind of macerated. And they've only got at Michigan Bluff, I use a lot of times I'll use the Blister Shield instead of doing a barrier because the skin's already waterlogged. So Blister Shield powder. Okay. And
got one more?
Let's see. I would say this is Sport Shield.
Okay.
This is more of a lubricant, meaning it makes skin slippery. Because this works really well in this lasts longer than any other product you're going to use. This works really well in the undercarriage region for men.
Great, good to know.
Especially. Okay. And then like underarms, under the bra straps, that kind of thing. This lasts longer than anything else out there because it's got some special ingredients. So I think at this point, those are my 5.
Love it. Thank you. This is awesome. I know we didn't talk. We barely talked foot care, but you know what? They can go listen to any one of your 24 other podcasts and hear about foot care. I wanted to get to know you. I wanted my audience to get to know you. This was awesome. So fun.
Oh, this is so fantastic. So hang on. Do you know the band GB Layton?
Yes. Yep.
That was our absolute go-to band every Wednesday night at Bunkers.
Bunkers? I used to go there all the time. Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers and Dr. Mambo's Combo. We
100% have met.
Oh my God.
We may have danced together.
We probably have.
We probably have, because I always stand in front of the bassist and flirt.
Yeah.
Because why would you not? Because the bassists are like kind of in their own world. Like, oh my God, we have been to 100% have been to Bunkers at the same time.
Oh my God, that is so crazy. By the way, Mick Sterling is still rocking it. He is.
No, he isn't.
God, yeah, he's 60 something, and he sounds great.
Seriously,
he is still out there rocking it. He's doing great. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so funny.
That is so absolutely incredible.
Oh,
how much fun.
Yeah, Minneapolis is great.
Man.
I've been here most of my life now, since
Good
91.
times.
And I love it. So, yeah.
It's such a great city.
Yeah. All right.
Now I'm homesick. I need to come back for the state fair. You know what? I love the state
Oh,
fair
yeah.
now, of course. This is a Minnesota goodbye. You know,
Yeah.
you're very familiar with this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been kicked out. I've had to be I've had to be escorted out of the haunted house. The three times I've tried to go through it at the state
God.
fair. I have trust issues. There's a part where they start reaching
Yeah.
towards you.
Yeah.
And I learned the first year I was like, I couldn't, my friends were in front of me. Nobody had my back. And so I just stood there, and then I learned where the security door is. And so for the next couple of years, I just told the monster, like, send security. I'm not moving.
That's funny. My first acting
my
job
God.
in the Twin Cities was at the haunted hayrides down in Egan, and I played Beetlejuice.
Oh my gosh, for real?
Yeah, I played Beetlejuice.
No.
And, yeah, so those things don't freak me out because I've been on the other side of them. But yeah, too funny.
I've got trust issues.
We all do. We all do. It's all good.
How much fun is that? I can't believe it. Like,
yeah.
I can't wait
fun.
to talk to your sister.
I'm going to connect you and her on Instagram or Facebook. You're on Facebook too, right? I know she's on
Yes.
Facebook, so I'll get you guys connected.
I go to Facebook when I have to, but
Yeah.
Instagram is kind of the standard nowadays.
All right. Thank you for joining me. And I'll be anxious to hear about Western State this year. I'm going to be watching. Of course, I've got my friend Neeraj now that's running it, and Wes, who I'm going to interview, is running it. And I know you'll be out there, and my friend Julie will be at the aid station. One of these years, I'm going to get out there.
Oh my God.
I'm going to get out
Come
there.
and join the party.
I will. So thanks for
Thank
joining.
you so much. This is super lots of fun. I hope this is helpful to people. I don't know how helpful it is for us to just tell stories, but
sometimes here's what I would say is telling stories is helpful. I know a lot of my my listeners, my loyal 57, they just love getting to know people, because that's what I love doing. I love getting to know people, and you could sit there and talk foot care techniques, and that's great and all, but it's really fun to learn about the coyotes going after the horse's leg up in you're in Wisconsin as you're working on the horses.
Gotta get to Dee Dee. But I think, and that's what's so great about the ultra world, ultra running. It's community, and there's so many really great stories out there. But we're all interesting people for sure. So I really appreciate having the platform, and hopefully, so I do have my just in case anyone wants anything useful and helpful information. I have my website, my Dr. Tonya Footcare website. I'm adding resources to it. It's relatively new, so that's the vision, is for that to be a kind of the go-to place for folks for foot care kind of stuff.
And I know you've got online classes and things like that. So I'll have links to all of that in the show notes.
That's the website. Yeah. I've got some courses. I've been threatening to finish a foot care foot care specialist certification course. I've been almost done with it for, eons, and maybe I'll finish it soon. But yeah, I'm adding free content, for folks. And so, having a localized area for people to go to for foot care, I think is, that's the vision moving forward. So it's easy so we can have better information.
Awesome. Take care of your feet, people. Don't forget you have them. Do something before that long race, and love your feet.
Make an effort, people. Feet matter.
That's right. All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
My homeboy, Minnesota.
You come from good stock. You come from Minnesota. So. And now you know the real Dr. Tonya. Well, we did talk some foot care, and of course, I'll have links in the show notes to her website and businesses so you can connect with her and use some of her great resources. But what an absolute blast to just have a wonderful conversation, do some Minnesota storytelling, and get to know the real person. Well, that's it for this time. Until next time, cheers and thank you. Thank you to all of my guests this year and each and every one of you listeners. You really inspire me to keep going. And got big plans for the new year. Good guess, and the boys will be back in town. So until next time, keep running, keep walking, and know your feet. They will get you across that finish line.